This is page 429, grammar presentation. So using future possibility with may, might, and could. So this is the form that we use. You may or may not, and then make sure you always use base form. And these are the ways that you can ask questions, so go ahead and look at those. These are WH questions, and these are the answers. But I'm going to go over this. I went over this in class, but just as a reminder, we use with affirmative statements may, might, and could to express possibility that something will happen in the future. And it says here they have very similar meanings. The only thing I would say that's kind of different is may is a little bit more formal. We use might a lot in conversation. And what else? If you look here, we don't use could with negative. If we want to express a possibility with a negative, we have to use may or might, but not could. So that's another difference. Only in affirmative. Remember that we use the form of the future when we are certain that something will happen. So it is going to rain tonight. That's certain. And then we talked about this in class. Maybe and maybe both express possibility, but maybe is a modal plus be, which is the verb. And then maybe is an adverb. It's one word and it's at the beginning of the sentence. So make sure you're using the correct form. And as one of you mentioned, when we have this in the front, we have to have a verb here. So my verb here is take. In this case, I already have the verb, it's be. So look over your notes for that. Okay, now this is page 430, note 2, negative statements. So use may not and might not to express possibility that something will not happen. So if you notice here, we do not use could not. So I'm going to write that down. Do not use could. And another thing they mentioned, do not use contractions with may not and might not. So you have to write out the whole word. And the last note, questions and answers. We mentioned this before. When we want to ask a question, we do not ask questions with may, might, and could. It has to be the future form. Here they mention when might it start snowing. This is very, very rare. That's why I'm telling you not to use it. We never really use it. So just ask question with will or be going to, okay? Don't use may, might, or could. And then, but you can answer the questions with may, might, and could. So are you going to drive us to work? I don't know. I may take the bus. So see, I'm not using the same grammar form. I'm using may here. In short answers to yes or no questions, we usually use may, might, and could alone. We do not repeat the main verb. Will your office close early? It may. Or it may not. We don't really say it may not close. We just include the modal without the verb. If be is the main verb, it is common to include be in the short answer. Will our flight be on time? It might be. Or it might. So this is the only exception to the rule. So if you're doing a short answer, if I have be, then it's good to include it. This one is also correct though. So go ahead and go through the notes and make sure you understand it before you move on to the rest of your homework.